Recording. So tonight we're going to cover the root chakra, which if you've been working with me for very long, you know is my absolute favorite to talk about, mostly because it's one of the most impactful in terms of the programming that we all carry that we need to sort of deprogram from, and where a lot of wounding resides. And so we're going to be going deep into that. And also, we're going to be covering the integumentary system, which is another place. Actually, I personally have a weakness in that zone in my body and have for a long time. So I'm super stoked to be working on this tonight and to spend the whole week just really working on the integumentary system, which is your skin, hair, and nails. I think it's really interesting that we just had the cell level healing. And if you guys listened to the recording from last night, it was a lot, what came through was a lot about containment. And then we're going to be talking about the skin today. So it's just another level of, what is it like to be contained? What's the energy of the things that contain us? And in this case, it's going to be our skin, and our hair and our nails, which is fun to talk about. Hair is deeply spiritual, as we all know. and it actually is known to be that across time, in different tribal lineages and in different belief systems. Hair holds a lot of energy. And so clearing out the energy in our hair is actually really important. All right, so before we dive into the root chakra and all that information and all the meditation we're going to be doing tonight, I just want to check in with everybody. Oh, Amanda says, I just got a haircut today. God, I need a haircut so bad. I just want to check in with everybody and see, how did this past week go? I heard from some of you in email format, but I just wanted to check in and just get some info. Yeah, Nicole, you have such epic hair. There better be energy in there. It's got its own life, doesn't it? Like, you can tell where somebody's like vibing by their hair. I remember back when I used to drink with my friends, there's this one particular series I went out with my girlfriends. I think I went to a college, and as the night progressed, my hair got crazier and crazier, and that was the first time I really understood that it has like a life of its own, and that as I was letting in different beings, it was changing form in many ways. So hair has a lot of energy in it. And actually, one of the times when I was teaching at the psychic school, I was doing a clear out for everybody. A lot of what we do here is based around what I learned there. And I remember one time I told them to clear out the energy of their hair, and every single one of them in the class came back the next week and was just like, that was transformative. My whole life changed. Everything changed when I cleared out the energy of my hair, because if you think about it, it's right around your upper chakras. So when you clear that out, you clear a lot out. All right, guys. So how did this week go? How was it? How was the cell level healing? How was the Earth Star? That's new for a lot of us. What happened for you?
I don't even know where to start, really. A lot came through. A lot came through for me this last week. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a different experience, right, than just simply grounding?
Yeah, that was really new. I felt a lot of sensations with what came through, which I don't know that my body has ever felt safe enough to feel all of the sensations with the stuff that came through.
Yeah.
And I think, for the first time ever, last night, I felt comfortable. I asked to see it all about a certain thing in my life. And I was able to see it all, and I felt a lot of sensations.
Yeah.
But I felt it can get a little spiritually bypassy, because I felt grateful for things that I never thought I would feel grateful for. I saw it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. The information that I was sitting with before class tonight was just this sense of when the root chakra is really healthy, which means it's got to be fed by that earth energy, right? It's got to be feeling supported. And when it does, it has a way of looking at the challenges as gifts, which is a real slippery slope when we talk about actual victimization and real trauma. There's a part of the healing process where we kind of can't look at it like that. It's almost like highly problematic to look at it like that. And yet, as we get stronger with our first chakras, we feel more safe on this planet. There is this sense of understanding the challenges when they come through and being able to see that larger perspective at play. And that is so healing to be able to see. And I have not been highly victimized in this lifetime, so I have quite a bit of vibrational privilege there to be able to reach that quickly. And so I never put that on other people, but I do notice the more I go through this work, the more I deprogram all that ancient stuff and the stuff from my lifetime, I'm able to hold that dichotomy in each moment without bypassing, without being like, wow, I can't feel the full spectrum of that. I feel the devastation of whatever it is. And I also am able to be like, I get what this is doing for me right now. And so that makes me as a human feel really grounded on this planet. Like, I get it. I get what's happening to me and why. The other thing that I think is really important, and what I want everyone to be able to do with this work, is to keep themselves safe and protect themselves. When I wasn't learning, when I didn't know how to ground and I didn't have any tools around this, my life was really calamity driven. Something would happen and all of a sudden I wouldn't have any money. Something would happen and like the worst case scenario would go on. It was all this like loud external um, existence. And I was always so frustrated having to deal with putting out the fire outside of myself. When I started learning how to ground, the chaos calmed down, and it no longer needed to kind of project into the world around me in order to get my attention. Now, this is part of the reason I want this shit taught when you're in first grade or when you're in kindergarten or when you're in preschool, because if you get how to do that, you're not going to have to go through life without any tools, without any ability to affect your life in that way. You know, think about that for a second. We didn't have any context for this stuff growing up. We didn't know that we could change our reality by simply working on our own frequency. And that's, as I say that, I can feel the slippery slope of the spiritual industry taking that too far without any context. You know what I mean? And so when you start working on your own energy, that's when you get to see all of these different parts and pieces of yourself and provide yourself with a safe environment to fully express yourself. The aim of this work is full creative expression in an individual lifetime. And in the people that have been doing it a really long time, Danielle is a great example of this, the layers and layers and layers come off and you start to really be yourself, right? You start to really like see that person underneath the layers and layers and layers of the stuff that happened before. The root chakra is the perfect example of how that occurs. It is the densest chakra that we have. It's the most physical. So when something has been made physical and it's now real, you can work with it in the first chakra. So let's do that a little bit today. Go ahead and close your eyes and let's start the work. Would you joyously begin to pull your energy in from everywhere it has been? And would you allow your body the permission to do whatever it needs to do tonight to move the energy. Because this is the densest chakra, you might need to do some actual physical movement. So, pulling your energy back from everywhere it's been and pooling it in your physical form. Would you notice your pelvic floor? Would you also be psychic? And would you notice the energy in this space? If there's a color, what is it? If there's a vibe, how would you describe it? Whatever you notice, whatever you're experiencing, would you accept that as the truth for right now? Knowing that slowly but surely you will gain more autonomy and ability to choose. And would you breathe deeply and begin to move some breath in through your belly, up into your chest, even up into your shoulders, and release. Use the breath. Stretch out from the inside. You might even want to imagine your breath going all the way down to your root, back up to your seventh, and releasing. Beautiful job. Would you choose a color that feels particularly healing to your root? Would you begin to, in your mind's eye, with your strong imagination, your joyful, playful nature, would you begin to see it swirling and opening that root chakra? The root chakra originates in between the ovaries for women, or ovary holders, as it were, and just above the prostate and prostate havers. And it points down toward the earth. It has 12 concentric rings spinning in different directions. Would you get your healing color saturated into all 12 layers? And it's okay if it changes colors in different layers, or shifts at all. And naturally, what's going to happen is you're going to start rooting down into the planet, taking up space as a physical being. And what's already starting to happen is your feet chakra are beginning to open and spin because they're accessory chakras to your first. And you actually have 80,000 tiny little chakras all over your body. So, everywhere you have a joint in your feet, ankles, legs, all the way up into your hips, there's an energy center. And as a reminder, chakras send and receive energy. So you're sending energy down, rooting to the earth, and the earth is sending it right back up again. The root chakra houses the information for the starting point in our development. It's kind of like the alpha of the alpha and the omega. It's the beginning. So say hello to the beginning of your journey in this lifetime. The big deal for us about the root chakra is that it governs survival, which has not been the easiest game on this planet. I actually just had a friend message me today and ask why the government hates us so much because she's getting kicked off of unemployment right in the middle of really needing it. That's real. We're still having a really hard time just surviving. And that's part of the reason our culture is in such upheaval right now. And why some people are really losing their sense of sanity. I'm reminded of some of the things I've seen on The Daily Show or Jon Stewart or whatever, all those shows. Remember a few years ago, they're like the war on Christmas because everyone was saying happy holidays. And that's sort of the rhetoric, the war on this, the war on that. Well, there seems to be, in my estimation, a war on the first chakra. The current systems don't love us being stable. And so, if you found stability in your life, I want you to thank yourself and give yourself a ton of gratitude because you've done it against all odds. And that's not just finances, that's emotions, mental stability, sexual stability, you name it. want you to illuminate all the times in your life that you blamed yourself for the systems and structures around you being broken, or the people and communities around you being broken. Would you begin to release that now? The first chakra gets way too dense when we take on that extra responsibility. The root chakra will often house stagnant, accumulated emotional energies. So, allowing any of that to begin to release down your grounding. To be replaced with that beautiful neutral earth energy coming up. Supercharged by the earth star. As you're doing this, please, by all means, move around if you need to. Good child's pose and down dog is great here. Head on the floor, booty in the air can really shift the root chakra. Let's say hello to more shadows in here, shall we? Generational patterning is housed in the first chakra. What's been real for humanity across time can be found in here. So if there are any generational patterns that you're holding the line on, that you're ending, generational curses that you're breaking, I want to invite you to put down the fight today around that stuff and just let it release into the earth. It's so happy to take it from you. We're going to be doing more of this specifically in the seventh chakra, but it's a great place when you're breaking generational patterns to call in those ancestors, have them come around you, strengthen you, have them help you break the things they couldn't break with their own existence. I really can't highlight this enough with our generations. We are breaking so many old patterns. So many, it's staggering. I don't know if a generation will have to do this more than we all do. If you're between the ages of 65 and 15 right now, you're up. You're breaking patterns. The first chakra also houses the memories of war, famine, and natural disasters. Basically, anything that threatens basic survival. Allow your body to begin to release that energy, leaving space for the nourishment of the earth to come up and take up that space. This, of course, is not to bypass that all of those things are and have been real, but it's to leave more room for you so that you can be comfortably fully expressed and not be banging your head against these things as you go to be you in this lifetime. Now, the really beautiful thing that happens now that we've gone into the dank darkness, when you release all that old energy that you can't solve and can do nothing about, it gets replaced with the ability to harness courage, bravery, resourcefulness, and the will to live. You guys also have a fair bit of this energy in your root chakra as well, if you're here. And you let the will to live really take root in the first chakra. The term that wants to come through for us is thriving. Now, I want to leave a little space for you to explore. If there are any places in your life where you've really struggled to thrive, would you just be present with that now? Without the need to fix or solve it, just purely interact. Any place where you feel like you are having a hard time thriving and really feeling safe to have the experience you want to have in this lifetime. Would you let that beautiful root color red and your magenta color run through that area of your life? So if it's money, would you let it swirl into your bank account, your savings account, your investments in this life, including your relationships? If it's body health, will you let it move through your body? Any space that those subjects inhabit, just see them nourished, wrapped up in fuchsia and red. And would you all fill in your heart chakra space with the red and the fuchsia? The function of that is that your heart chakra houses your ego structure. So if there are any shadow parts of self or even totally conscious parts of self that just need some safety, go ahead and give it to them. Fill in that heart chakra with fuchsia and red. Begin to breathe deeply again. Really letting that root and earth star come up through your body. Let your body move and stretch. Breathe deeply. And let your sweet form know you're going to be coming out of meditation from the internal worlds into the external of class. And gently, lovingly come all the way out. Nice long meditation. Nice job, everybody. All right. So, what did you guys notice? How was that? Good root chakra clear out.
That was so intense.
What'd you say?
It was so intense. My body got super hot. I was just sitting in my regular meditation pose, which is normally fine for me to go super deep, but I got so hot that I moved into child's pose and I did down dog and then I did the puppy pose with just your butt in the air. And that's when I felt like a shift and my root chakra was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And at one point it felt like, I want to preface this with, I like christened myself this week in a waterfall for hours. I just like sat there and I was like, yes, the earth is my mother. And I let all like my too big love for humans just be with the earth. And I have this sense of like being in right relationship with people by loving them where they're at instead of how I need to be loved. And pouring, oh, so big. And pouring that, all that big energy that I have that I need to release like back into the earth. So during that, I felt like an umbilical cord into the planet. And that was, yeah.
That was a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a rebirthing of sorts.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. And you just, I want to honor that you just had a spiritual name change for yourself.
Yeah. Last Monday when I would have been in this class actually. And that's also like my teacher asked for my birth name or my birth time and my birth information because he was like, I don't know what to call you. Like nothing sounds right. Can I just look it up? And then he was like, oh, your Venus is exalted. Like there's a lot of Venus in your chart. Like you need to be doing a lot of art. Are you making art right now? And then like a couple days later, when we had decided on my name Pasha, he started to tell me what it means and that it's from this being that's eons old. That's like the epitome of compassion, like Kuan Yin. This is another variation of Kuan Yin. And he's like, you should wear diamonds. Do you have any diamonds? That's really important. Like, and so I just feel this, like someone is loving me for who I am and not who they want me to be, in a way that's really safe and boundaried. And yeah.
And you're
so
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So my whole world has just been blown this week.
Good. Good. I'm glad we're all having a Cancer season.
Seriously.
With 2 new moons this season, which is like, woo, a bookend. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that name, Pasha. Pasha. It feels so good. Somebody shared, Maggie said, noticing my focus was wavering, that the color during the visualization would be brilliant and then go colorless. I found myself struggling a bit with the Earth Star this week. Like there are blind spots in my Earth Star as well, that and the connection to the root chakra. This doesn't surprise me because I think this also surfaces as blind spots in these Earth Star root related areas of my life. Love Pasha. That's a gorgeous name. It is. Yeah, I have focused on the root chakra in community and in psychic work. God, I want to say almost exclusively. Like the rest of the classes I teach are really just to keep you here and keep you interested and keep you working on your root chakra, because it has so much. It's the memory of everything that's ever happened on this planet. And you're sitting in the apex of the past right now. The wisdom inside of your bones, the memories of war and famine and upset and competition and survival. And we don't even have to go that far to find context for that. We see it all the time on a regular basis in our culture. That's the type of stuff that as you move it out, it becomes easier and easier to interact with these lower chakras. This is what a lot of the spiritual community goes through. They stay really up here. To come down all the way in, to really become human, is to acknowledge all the isms that we're dealing with right now. And it's to say, these structures don't work. Now, which ones do? What do we want? And it's a lot of work right now. We're questioning, we're seeing the ancient discord and the survival issues that we've dealt with as a culture that are needless at this point. Really needless. We could be taking care of everybody, but we still have these old survival pictures. And so when you go to interact with these chakras, depending upon how long you've been doing it for, you might hit a lot of energy, a lot of uncomfortable, ancient human energy. So just keep working, keep having that neutrality, that patience, keep letting your body know that it's safe, and keep moving deeper. I mean, again, this is my 12th year doing this work, working with specifically grounding. And the reason I love it so much is I needed it. It's my lesson over and over and over again, that rooting down, the elbowing out of the capitalism, the elbowing out of the supremacy, of the oppression, the elbowing out of that reality in my space so that I can make space for innovation, so I can make space for a different way of doing things. When you let that go from the foundational space, all this newness can come up. All this regenerative cycles can make themselves known. So just keep working on it. Little by little, it'll make a lot more sense.
I have a question also. I've noticed that whenever I have become, like I've worked on becoming more vocal and feeling more safe being seen and speaking up
Yeah.
lately, actually since EPS really.
Awesome.
And I find that whenever I do like post something or say something that just feels completely unfiltered, raw, authentic, my truth, but it's bold,
Mhm.
I find that I immediately drop into that fear mode of the root chakra and feeling like I'm going to be attacked. And it's like I want to like delete things and like go hide again and like you know, yeah, go underground. And it's like this weird thing of like, I don't know if vacillating is the right word, between like speech and like fifth chakra and then going straight into survival mode. Like I feel like somebody's going to kill me for speaking my truth.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know your thoughts on that, because I feel like that's like something that I see quite regularly with myself right now as I'm trying to test the waters of putting myself out there and really owning it now.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really awesome question. I started leading and deciding to lead at that level and saying the goddamn thing in 2013. And I know exactly what you're talking about. So whatever boundaries you need to create, i.e. unfriending family, unfriending people who you know aren't gonna vibe with it, and just I would even preempt it and just be like, listen, I'm gonna be using my platform for something different, to connect to something different. It's gonna be more around work or whatever words you want to use with them. Create those boundaries so that your community is a safe place. And again, it's like one foot in front of the other. I know exactly what you're talking about. I would put something out and I would feel, I know you guys will all resonate with this too, this like, shut up. This energy that's just like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. You're a stupid bitch. Like all of this crazy tidal wave of the collective. But that's because no one's safe to actually speak. And when you are from the Indo-European culture, which has been the oppressor of this nation for a really long time, but you're in a female body, that's a really interesting line to rock. And you get a lot of that shut the fuck up energy when you go to express yourself. Do it anyway. Check with yourself, make sure you're not problematic. You know what I mean? Like, do your due diligence to be a thoughtful human being and understand the impact of your words and why you're saying them and what you're saying. There's got to be a strong why behind it, but it's just the same as grounding one foot in front of the other with that fifth chakra. It's super freaky. It does hit those first chakra issues. It's gonna, and you just get stronger. That's part of the reason this work is not the quick fix. I shared that with you guys last night in our meditation. It takes years of gaining strength around this stuff to start to feel comfortable. I still feel a lot of that because the ether sphere is very active right now with people losing their minds and people having all sorts of feelings, right? And I don't, now at this point, 7 years in, I don't need to block anybody. I don't need to make any big overtures. I don't need to like take space from social media. But if those things work for you as boundaries, and I've seen they have with other people, I'm the type of person who leans in a little bit deeper and is like, oh, there's a really scary energy there. Let me poke my finger right into it and just go right to the edge. That doesn't need to be your tactic, but whatever you choose, know that you're going to be building strength around being able to share yourself. And it makes me really excited for our fifth chakra class because I think everyone's going to have an unleashing. But you're pretty new to this work, so you're dealing with the crusty underpinnings of things. Just keep going and do what it takes to keep yourself safe in that, knowing that it's going to feel freaky every time.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things I'm the proudest of the work that I've done in the world is that my community is a safe place for me to be. You guys can hear me, you get it. That's huge to me. That's better than making multi six figures a year, is that my community feels safe with me and I feel safe with them to be able to say my piece and to be able to disagree. I've had plenty of awesomely, I don't want to even say rough conversations because I love the intimacy of disagreeing with people, but, or people disagreeing with me, but there's been plenty of those conversations. And I think as a culture, we've had a really hard time holding each other in that. And we got to get better. We just got to build that strength, conflict resolution. Exactly. Intimacy is born from rupture and repair. Exactly. That's how we bond. And so, let yourself have that experience. You've got this safe space to come back and be like, woo, you've got our Facebook page to just share, the things that maybe feel a little bit edgy and to find that support in it. So use that. Right. So Maddie said, lots of Catholic programming energy thrown my way when I dove into family healing. Whew, yeah. I just had a really long conversation with my friend the other night whose dad is Irish. He died a couple years ago, and he's a brilliant Gemini. Just, God, the art that comes out of Geminis is a mwah. And he's a great performance artist. And he showed me this thing from Catechism where he was basically like, I'm nothing, I'm scared, please forgive me, God, for even existing. He's a gay man as well, so that's on top of it. And I was like, wow, God, I haven't said hello to the Catholic guilt in a really long time. But it is very real, very, very real. Religions are a big topic as it relates to the first chakra because of that sister chakra relationship. The first and the seventh work together. So if you're not safe, your knowledge base is going to be really limited, right? The things that you're channeling through as truth are going to be like QAnon. Hello, QAnon.
Oh, girl, don't get me started. Come on,
Oh,
really? Really?
Ooh. I think I'm going to do a whole separate presentation as to exactly what's happening psychically to the folks who are going through that. But we can preface it with this. If you have a lot of that controlling energy at the second or the seventh chakra, there's a daddy god who hates you and you need to somehow prove yourself worthy of being spiritual and having information, having knowledge. If it's coming through a lot of those layers of religion which have been used to control and enslave humanity for across time, not all of it needs to be that way, but that has been the basic effect. Then you're never going to be safe at the first chakra level. So as they're channeling these really high, like outer 10th layer of the aura, 11th layer of the aura, 12th, 15th layer of the aura, right? Like they're really high out there. They're seeing the games being played on a more psychic level, but they're completely unsafe. And look how it's turning out. It's not a cute look. So that Catholic programming is real. And Maddie, especially you, I know that you will be able to say hello to it and move through it. This is what I mean by breaking those generational curses. A lot of them have to do with wars, famines, belief systems, thought patterns, all of that stuff, emotional patterning. Okay, so Elsa added, I'm also feeling like my focus and meditation has been harder to sustain this week. I've had some good connection, but I've never had this much challenge with envisioning, feeling, sensing the energies moving. Yeah, that's okay. I think there's other things being turned on in new places. So whenever you feel that blank out space, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just where you're building energy frequency where you didn't have it before. And I mean, we started with the transpersonal chakra right out of the gate. So unless you've done a lot of the 7 chakras, that transpersonal one might be a little wonky. That's completely normal. Again, the practical solution is the best solution. You just keep building strength, keep going back to it over and over again, This is meant to be the beginning, or not the beginning. EPS is really the beginning, but APS is much more the deepening of the connection to your process around this stuff. So then you can go take it into the years and years of unraveling that will happen. Again, you're watching this at 12 years. You know, some of the other psychics that are here at 5 years, 7 years, 3 years, you know. So it takes a long time, and this definitely isn't the quick fix, but it gets you into those spaces and gets you familiar in those spaces so you can then continue to build strength over time. Nicole said, elbowing out is such an effective way to put it. I really felt like that meditation moved a lot of stuff out of the way and I was able to really go deep. That's awesome. Pasha saying, focus on fleeting here too. Focus was fleeting here too. Really random people and memories popping up. It felt like they were moving out as I cleared the old stories, or they're just thinking of me right now. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, it's so interesting, especially with the lower chakras. I always get that image of the bats flying out of the bell tower. The bats are just like, as soon as you say hello to that zone, that normally our energy isn't used to being in. We are not trained to be multidimensionally focused. We are not trained to be able to handle whatever's going on in our first chakra and then on up to the 12th. This is, talk about breaking generational curses and doing new things, doing new innovative things. This is it. It's like if no one in your family ever worked out ever in their life, and now you're going to be a triple Ironman winner. It's that big of a deal. So give yourself the time and space to just slowly build strength over time. You're also letting go of all of the questions that you asked yourself that never got anywhere. So when you're like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't this working? Why am I fill in the blank? Do you notice how that never got you the right answer or the next step or the deepening of the relationship with yourself or the topic at hand? Right now, with this root chakra work and with our Earth Star work, you're learning how to let go of all of those loops that you normally go in around something. You'll notice the strength building over the next 10 weeks around that topic specifically. You'll notice when you get to the edge of something and you're just banging your head up against the wall, you'll notice that you're able to back off of it and ask a different kind of a question from a different perspective. All right. So there's one more thing that I feel drawn to do, and that is to, first of all, take a break and let everybody just kind of relax a little bit. Let's just take 10 and come back at what would be 5:47. And then we're going to go into some life force meditation and then the integumentary system. And then we'll close up. So I'll see you in 10. Alrighty, making our way back into the class space. Ooh, can I have a sip of that? Thank you. By the way, who I'm talking to off screen is my partner, Eric, who has been with us behind the screen for EPS and now Advanced Psychic Skills. He's been doing really advanced work in spiritual community for 12 years. 12? Yeah, really long time. So it's super fun to watch him develop psychic skills alongside that stuff. It certainly helps us understand each other better. Thank you. All
So,
right.
hey, Erin, to that point, I find a lot of times with this work, and I really like this about you, and I was confused about it for a long time working with you, in that you can have done a lot of spiritual work, like 20 years worth of spiritual work, and come to this work and have it be really new for your system
Mm-hmm.
and kind of up leveling in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really found that with the root chakra work, that a lot of the spiritual work that I had done in the past focused on the upper chakras. So I was great at astral travel, all those things, right? But when it came to actually being in my body, yeah, that was new for me working with you. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, it is. Anytime you go into your own system and structure, it's pretty radical, you know? That's my favorite thing, is to hold space for people to go into themselves and feel safe to do so, and to have a little bit of a roadmap. But it's the same way for me. I've been doing all the things, and when I came to psychic work, I remember I'm friends with a lot of people that I went to class one. Class one was like, we started the 7th of July, 2008. And I remember seeing people later on that I went to school with, and they're like, God, girl, you were like not even on this planet. I'm like, really? I was a body worker at that point. I had trained in all these different modalities. I was a holistic nutrition. I mean, you name it. I was doing the body work stuff. And that's why I've dedicated so much of my work to this, because this little tool of imagining your own energy inside of your brain, and it's life changing. And so using it to get all the way down into your body, part of the reason it's so hard is because of the things we just talked about, the wars, the famine, the things that, like, we don't have a context to get out of. We don't even have new systems and structures to get away from that stuff. So it's pretty uncomfortable and very radical to choose to come all the way down in and inhabit your humanity in that way, and to take your spiritual information and your spiritual work and bring it to your humanity in that way is super radical. So I'm grateful that you guys are here doing this. It will change the game for you. All right, speaking of the spiritual, before you came into this body, you were pretty stoked to come and live this life. You were frothing up this life force energy. You were excited. And so I want to take a minute here and give ourselves a bit of a holistic healing with that original essence, that excitement about the life form and the life force that you were going to experience in this lifetime. All of the inevitable challenges, because from way the hell out here, you definitely look down at the first chakra of the people you were coming through and the womb space you were coming through, and you're like, whew, that looks fun. Even if it was a total nightmare, there was a part of you that was ready. It was game. It was in for the challenge. And so let's go ahead and close our eyes. And would you say your full name at birth out loud to yourself? And in doing so, would you call in the original essence? And you might even be able to remember the choosing of the crazy that you were about to come through. And if that's not your cosmology, that's okay. If you're like, I would have never chosen this, that's legit. Go with that. But remember your original essence. And would you call that energy back to you? You can see it as a color, a texture, just a kind of an emotion, an energy. But would you begin to let it back into your heart space? Let the heart space expand in all directions. Let that original essence feed and nourish those upper chakras. Let it center and love up the lower chakras. And just take a little listen psychically. Why did you come here? What's your purpose or purposes? Not to be concerned or misconstrued as porpoises. What's your original porpoise? Remember that. Bring it back to you. Ground into that. Let it move into the layers of the aura around you. I just keep seeing like a rainbow colored dolphins just splashing through everybody's aura. Do you notice the more you get to know your spirit, the funnier it is? The more it sends you goofy little things to make you laugh. And in your mind's eye, would you find the color of your unique essence? It might change tomorrow, but today, what do you notice? What's the color? And in whatever way feels real to you, would you get it all up in your space? Would you take that beautiful color and allow it to move into the first layer of your aura? making it substantial, real, and set very much to the uniqueness of you. So letting your body know that it can continue to do the energy work to receive the healing, and gently coming back into the collective class space. I want to thank you for keeping this space so safe and so grounded. You guys, this is really a co-creative endeavor, and it's really amazing to work with people who are so safe and can keep it really grounded, especially as I look out into the world and spirituality is getting wilder every day. So thank you. So speaking of the first layer of the aura, the integumentary system, I'm going to read a little something about it, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did with the cell healing. We're going to take a look at the anatomy of a cross-section of skin and just say hello to that whole structure and get familiar with it in your mind's eye. Then we're going to take our psychic work deeper and do some clearing on the layers of the skin, your containment system, as well as the hair and the nails. Okay, so the integumentary system is an organ system consisting of skin, hair, nails, and exocrine glands. We'll go into that in a second. The skin is only a few millimeters thick, yet it is by far the largest organ of the body. The average person's skin weighs 10 pounds and has a surface area of almost 20 square feet. Skin forms the body's outer covering and forms a barrier to protect the body from chemicals, disease, UV light, physical damage. Hair and nails extend from the skin to reinforce the skin and to protect it from environmental damage. The exocrine glands of the integumentary system produce sweat, oil, and wax to cool, protect, and moisturize the skin's surface. So this is the basic anatomy. You're going to be getting this whole page where you can read through all of it. And look at the epidermis and the dermis and the hypodermis and what the hair is made of. It's a really awesome page full of info about the skin. So you'll get that in your email. But I just kind of wanted to highlight what it is that we're talking about. And then I want to bring in our excellent skin bisection here. So take a look. This is getting into a lot of intensity over here, but mainly taking a look at the epidermis right here, the dermis, and then the subcutaneous layer, and basically taking a look at the structure of the skin and seeing what draws your attention. What is fascinating to you about this? What do you notice? This is what we look like on the inside. And this is what contains all of your organs.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
So I have this thing where my hair hurts a lot, and copious amounts of internet searches don't really provide any information. But looking at this, it's like, oh, I mean, it's a lot more closely connected to the whole rest of my system than I thought. I thought they were just these like floating things that were just where dead skin cells came out, but it's just right there with your blood vessels.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to be present with it with everybody and just look together at these parts and pieces of our bodies, because it has a way of being like, oh, oh, this starts to make sense now. The hair hurting thing has a lot to do with that erector pili muscle that pulls the hair whenever you get goosebumps or something like that. Whenever I see people with that painful hair, it's kind of that innervation into that muscle that always pings for me. I don't know if it does for you, but that one's always like, oh, that's why. Also, I know what you're talking about with that. It's a weird feeling. Okay, so is everybody sunk into it
Can
now?
I also say
Yeah.
something? Like, as soon as you started reading before, I just thought, like, we're kind of sold this idea with like all of these products that we put on topically, that it's like, you need this for your skin, you need that for your skin, that we have this understanding of skin that's so like shallow. But looking at then, when I saw this, it was like this connection happened where all of this stuff that we're kind of like putting on topically, it's like the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which sounds pretty basic, but it like finally, like I knew that, but it like looking at it clicked really for me.
Exactly. Our third eye's like, information when we look at the thing. This was really fun for me because I went to aesthetic school in 2002 into three. And I got to learn all this, but it's been so long. It's almost been 20 years. And so as I was staring at it again, I'm like, God, I remember all this stuff. As estheticians, we really work up here. And you guys are going to be getting a couple of my favorite recipes for that first layer of the aura in the form of scrubs, sugar scrub, salt scrub, coffee scrub. And it really helps to move some of the energy out of the epidermis. The other thing that struck me was that I believe it's the stratum basal that houses the melanin, and we're having so many conversations about melanated, melanin, lacking in melanin, like what it all means to be these different shades and hues, and how to remove the judgment and the violence from that space. And so when I first started working with this, I was doing a huge kind of like big old spell for everybody, removing the judgment from that layer of the skin and the tissue. So there is such a surplus that's offered here with even your individual work around this stuff, because it lessens the load for everybody else. That's one of the reasons why when you go in and you're like, whoa, why can't I focus on this? There's such a surplus of meaning. You're unlocking gates that generations down the way will have mastery over. But it's because you were like, oh, that's what the skin looks like, you know, that everything can change. And so the skin gets, our integumentary system gets nutrients last. And so if there's any nutrient deficiencies, which are really common because our diets are not great, they're getting better than they ever were. But there's still this like lengthy denaturing that's happened from the TV dinners that got eaten over the past couple of generations. And so that's why that topical world exists. And as an esthetician, as somebody who's used cosmeceutical ingredients, who understands all that stuff, there is a benefit to it, but not without the internal nourishment. And so thinking about that as well, going ahead and closing your eyes and just asking your skin, is there anything you need from me so that you may be fully nourished? And not just your skin, but your hair and your nails. And then whenever you feel ready, could you ask your epidermis, the outermost layer of your skin, what's the most healing and helpful color that you could be nourishing it with tonight? And maybe it's a few colors. There's quite a few layers there. So the epidermis is kind of special. It doesn't have any blood or blood vessels. What's actually in the dermis. So the cells of the epidermis receive all their nutrients from the diffusion of fluids from the dermis. It's made up of a bunch of cells called keratinocytes. So saying hello to that outer layer, and really nourishing it with a nice lush color. This is also the part that everyone sees. So really reclaiming it for you and getting everybody else's energy out of it. Any judgments that have been thrust upon you that you believed, any projections, really letting that epidermal layer release down into the grounding. Oh yeah, it is the bottommost layer of the epidermis where the melanocytes are. That creates the color of your skin. So if you've been at war with your skin tone, would you say hello to that and allow it to release? It's okay if you're pale. It's okay if you're pink. It's okay if your undertone is olive. It's okay if it's rich mahogany. Would you let the health and vitality of your melanocytes bloom? And would you say hello to the control structures that project a bunch of meaning and value onto those cells? They're cells. They're cells. How in the world did we get here with them? So allow that to release, not just for you, but for any melanin tone. And right below that is the dermis. It's the deep layer of skin right under the epidermis. It's got connective tissue, nervous tissue, blood and blood vessels. It's much thicker than the epidermis and gives the skin its elasticity and strength. So choosing a color in alignment with what your dermis finds to be healing. The dermis is also responsible for feeling touch, pain, and temperature through the epidermis. So if there are any old experiences, any systemic issues that have been producing really interesting sensation around your body, would you say hello to that? And begin to flood your dermis with healing energy. If this feels abstract, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You're going to be working on it all week. Moving on to that subcutaneous layer. This is where all of our fat is. Hello, more judgment zone. Would you say hello to your subcutaneous layer of skin? Where your luscious lipid layer is. Any judgments you've endured for the fullness or lack thereof of your adipose subcutaneous tissue. Do you say hello? And allow the cultural excess and the meaningless categorization to leave your body. This is a great space to let the neutral earth energy come in and re-nourish, bringing back neutrality, acceptance and love of the creature that you're sitting in, that is made of blood and bone from this planet. Would you let go of the judgments and bring the earth back her human? Commit to fully loving the meat suit that you're in as a borrowed gift from the planet that you're on. All right. We're going to move on to the hair, but just breathe a little bit, move a little bit, shake it out a little bit. Shake that 20 feet of skin you got going on there. All right, so pulling focus on your hair. Would you say hello to your hair? Put your hands in it, fluff it up, love it up. Get in there. Yeah, own it. So much good hair in this class. Hair is an accessory organ of the skin made of columns of tightly packed dead keratinocytes found in most regions of the body. We have a few hairless parts, our feet, our hands, on the palms, our lips, and our labia minora, and the glans penis. Hair helps to protect the body from UV radiation by preventing sunlight from striking the skin. Hair also insulates the body by trapping warm air around the skin. So, saying hello to the hair on your head first, and then we'll go to the rest of the body. I honestly did not expect to uncover literally all cultural programming in the integumentary system, and yet here we are. So many thoughts in the world about hair, aren't there? What it means, what it represents. So allow yourself to just shake your head and get all of the energy out of your hair. No matter how short or how long, it's really reclaiming the energy in your hair. I know that the Native American community really believes that it is a great power, that you house a lot of information in your hair. And would you choose a color that your hair finds to be exciting, healing? And would you begin to run that frequency through your dead keratinocytes, or whatever they're called, keratinocytes? Removing everybody else's energy. And also letting the past go a little bit here. Think of the ends of your hair and when your body started growing that. That was a few years ago, wasn't it? You're a different animal now. So really spending some time loving, honoring the one who still exists at the end of your hair. And would you take that beautiful hair color that you've been using for healing, and would you begin to pull it through your fabulous eyebrows, eyelashes, peach fuzz? If you're Italian like me and have a goatee of epic proportions, just allowing all the hair on your arms, your legs, your toes, your fingers, your belly, your back, your labia. Whether you shave or not, or wax or whatever kind of way you tend to your body around your body hair, would you use this color to love up your hair follicles? They help you feel the world around you. It's kind of like if we were cats, they'd be our whiskers. Nice job. Now letting it go to the outermost layers of your appendages in your nails, feet, and hands. Again, nails have so much meaning. Allowing that meaning to drain from your fingertips and your toes. Just being present with the needs of your nails tonight. Do they want to be a color? Unlike the other organ systems of our body that are much harder to switch up on a dime, the ones we're going over tonight, you can play with. You can cut your hair, dye your hair, grow your hair, paint your nails, shave it all off, grow it all out. There's so many options. So take a notice of what your habits have been around these structures and notice if they need any shifting. Wherever you find yourself, would you begin to take big, deep breaths? Drawing the breath down into the first chakra, up through the chakra column, out the top of your head, and release back down. Then again, filling up your belly, filling up your chest, filling up your shoulders and head, and releasing back down. The breath is like a pump for the lower chakras. And it really helps to nourish the skin. So breathe deep, allow the oxygen to move in and out of your body. And when it feels appropriate, moving from the internal world back into the class space to wrap up for the evening. And if you guys want some space to share whatever it is that came up, anything cool, by all means, unmute, chat with us.
It was interesting for me because after I did high risk gynecology as a nurse, I went into cosmetic dermatology. And it was like the funnest job ever. But it was a lot of like poking and prodding, and I was a cosmetic nurse injector, and I lasered people's skin and did peels and did laser hair removal. So I've zapped so many buttholes, it's not even funny. So when you were mentioning all the hair, I was like, don't forget the butthole, don't forget the butthole. But it, but it was so funny. It's like I feel like I was humbled down by this experience because I'm looking at the anatomy and I'm like, okay, so I've been the mad scientist, so now it's time to have a little bit of respect. Step back and have some respect, because I've been in. I mean, a lot of it's been fun, but some of it is, people like. There's so much emotion with skin and hair, and so many people place value. It's like second house of the natal chart. It's like that's where people's, a lot of people's self-worth can lie in those areas. So it's really cool, and I'm really excited to dive in further this week. I feel like this is just the beginning, and I love this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you guys that something really interesting happened to me. I went to beauty school at 19, but I've also been kind of like a hippy dippy person. Had orange hair, had pink hair, had black hair, had blue hair. I've had every different color of hair. This is my natural hair. I have not seen this since I was a teenager, I think. I am not able to paint my nails anymore because they lift. And so I've seen my natural nails now for a year without anything on them. And slowly, as I've begun to ground, I've noticed that these things have really shifted for me. And my direction is not necessarily the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, you could paint everything on your body a certain color and it'd be really gratifying and really cool, and really healing for reclaiming that energy. For me, it was going the opposite direction because I had already done all the things. So to see my natural body just the way it is, has been really transformational for me personally. So again, I didn't expect us to have this much of a healing around the integumentary system. And yet, man, we haven't even gone into the sweat glands and different things that I'm going to be bringing up this week. But there's just so much that has to do with our external visual to people that is meaningful and means something in culture that you can unmatch from and re-engage with in a different way.
I,
Well,
I wanted to add also, having been pregnant and postpartum for like almost I'm going to be going on 4 years
yeah.
straight. It's like I've had to do the natural route too with a lot of things. And it's like a whole new discovery. So, and then with COVID, it's like even more so, like you can't go anywhere, can't say hey to your hairdresser buddy. So yeah, it's like it's a very interesting experience, but at the same time it's very grounding too, like very grounding.
It's
So yeah.
kind of not as fun because it's kind of not as fun, but I hear you. I mean, this hasn't been cut since November, so I feel you, girl.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can
Thank
move
you.
on a bit of that and move into some more self-care. Iris said, I totally trimmed my pubes and armpits today for you all. Today, you all. Haha. Love that. Amanda said, I didn't even know what the name of the system meant, but cared for my nails, cut a lot of dead tangly hair off, and let most of my body hair grow out as an experiment in discomfort. Our brains don't always know what our bodies know, what's coming up. Yes. Yes. I can't. COVID has been such an illuminating thing around that for me. My body started prepping for this year years ago. Years ago. And I just listen because I've learned how to just trust my body. But that is so accurate, Amanda. And Iris added, I've been doing a lot of gold and rose gold around my individual hairs a lot while bathing and self-care. I've really struggled with taking care of these parts of me. Haven't cut my hair since November either. Crazy. Yeah, it's shocking how many things that we're going to be unpacking this week together. So expect me in your inboxes a lot, having conversations. Please get back at me with any thoughts, feelings, Facebook posts, whatever you want to do. But let's stay connected around this, because it's, especially as a group full of mostly women, God, this is like meaningful in so many ways. Pasha said, I grew all my body hair out for 3 years until I could love it as it was. Just shaved everything off on the full moon and it felt so new. My sensitivity was so high with inch-long leg hair. Yeah, I feel like there's bugs crawling on me sometimes, and I end up shaving it off during moon cycles as well. I noticed that too. Oh, so much more to go. I feel like this is a good space to end, and we're going to do it with a little mantra with ourselves. So go ahead and sit up, one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. You pick where your dominant hand goes. Does your heart need it more? Does your belly need it more? What you got? All right. And would you claim your physical form? I like doing that by saying, this is my body. This is my home. I am in charge here. And really allowing your body to feel your spirit being present, choosing it, inhabiting it, and guiding it through this wild lifetime. Taking another big, deep breath. Letting your body know that it's time for the rest of your evening. Take a big, deep breath again and come all the way out. All right, beauties. That's a class. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Have a good